All right. So let's begin today's session. Sit comfortably on your mat and keep the back and neck straight. Gently close the eyes and start observing your breath. Just observing the natural flow of your breathing. Keep your body aligned. And quickly scan through the body from the top of the head to the tips of the toes. Just making sure that the body is overall relaxed and comfortable. Slowly come back to your breath. Begin to deepen the breathing. Slow, long, and deep inhalations. Slow, long, and deep exhalations. We'll chant Om 3 times, followed by 3 shantis. Inhale deeply for Om. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Just relax. Observe the vibrations, sensations. Join the palms together in front of the chest and rub both the palms together. Place them over the eyes. Very slowly, while blinking and looking at the palms, begin to open up the eyes, coming back to the smile. Namaste, everyone. Let us begin today's session. All right. Okay. So let's begin today's class. Today we are going to, do the original practice of Nadi Shodhana. Right. So today we are going to do the practice that is given in Hatha. So when you open up the second chapter, you will find that the practice of Nadi Shodhana has been given over there, and the practice has been given with only internal retention. So, like when I was telling you about kumbhak or retention, I told you there are two forms of retention. One is internal retention, and one is external retention. And the technique that is given in Hatha that only includes the internal retention part, right? So that is the main technique that has been given. So if you ever teach Nadi Shodhana to someone, so this is the original background technique that has been given, right? There are a lot of other variations that you will find when you practice Nadi Shodhana. So one thing is that there are various ratios in which we inhale, retain, and exhale. So those ratios, increase with time, right? And those ratios, for now, we are going to maintain the ratio equal. If I'm taking 3 seconds to inhale, I'm going to take 3 seconds to hold, and then I'm going to give 3 seconds to the exhalation, right? If you want, you can, if naturally your exhalation is longer, that is all right. But for now, at least maintaining 1:1:1 ratio is compulsory, right? Do not exceed the ratio of the inhalation, right? But exhalation, if you have longer, that is again, like I said, it is all right. And do not force the exhalation as well, right? So you will notice that sometimes, like I said, longer exhalation is all right. Sometimes what we do is we try to make the exhalation longer, even though we cannot, right? We are forcing ourselves. So do not go ahead and do this thing, right? Another very important point that is there when we practice kumbhak is when you will retain your breath, like when you will start experiencing this retention of breath, you will have the urge to immediately exhale out on it, right? So right now I was talking about keeping it at least equal or longer, but you will observe that when you begin the practice, you will see that what retention actually is doing is it's pushing that instinct in you where you start breathing again. So you want to all the air, it will not even be in your control, you will exhale out completely. So you have to work on gaining control over this thing, right? When you practice Nadi Shodhana and internal retention is incorporated, that is when you will start seeing how much your breath is trying to run away from, right? So try to gain control over the exhalation process. So try that the exhalation is controlled and uniformly, you are exhaling. So sometimes what happens is, okay, if I say that you have to keep the exhalation equal, right? So now what you will do is majority of the volume of the air you will like exhale out in the first 2 seconds, and 3 seconds you will try to maintain whatever air is left so that it goes ahead in the remaining of the 3 seconds. But this is not correct. When one says that the ratio should be equal, so suppose you're taking 3 seconds to exhale. So those 3 seconds, the amount of air, the consistency with which you are exhaling has to be maintained, right? Not like 1 second entire exhalation has taken place and then 2 seconds you are remaining air, you are just passing the time so that you meet the exact time ratio, right? So that's not the case. It's about maintaining that smooth flow in the breathing when after practicing the retention, right? So let's just briefly discuss the retention part, yeah, because it's quite necessary to understand this part. So retention, also commonly known as kumbhak. When I'm saying this, I'm mostly talking about the internal retention right now because that is the main thing, and even in your pranayama practices. So today is the only day when we will practice retention. Apart from this, all the pranayams that I will introduce, there is no retention that I will introduce in them. Even though in the advanced techniques, you will see that retention is there, right? Why is this? Because retention is very, tricky, right? And retention, it can cause a lot of harm as well, right? So not practiced carefully, it's going to cause a lot of harm to your body, and you will not realize it. You will be like, all right, it's just happened and nothing. But on some level, it is going to cause an imbalance, right? When you retain beyond your capacity. Okay. So retention is something that I will not focus on in your pranayama classes. But today we are going to practice it just to get an experience of what it is like to retain the breathing. Right. So because internal retention mostly is the first stage when you do the two retentions. First, internal retention is introduced. Then, as the practices advance, external retention is introduced. Right. So just give me a moment. Okay. Yeah. So, like I was saying, internal retention is introduced first, and then you will see as the practice advances, both internal and external retention are introduced, right? So, retention, mostly the uh, internal retention I'm referring to when I say this, right? So, when you see that you inhale and you hold your breath, right? So when you hold the breath, you see that you take a pause in between the breathing process. So normally, the number of respirations that you will take in a minute, you will see that when you inhale, you take that time to hold your breathing. You will see that the number of uh, breathing cycles, the breaths in 1 minute, it's going to change, right? The first thing that retention does is it's going to decrease the number of inhalations and exhalations that are taken in 1 minute. And you already, all of you by now know that the less the number of inhalation and exhalation is in a minute, the more relaxed we are, right? So first thing is that retention, it induces states of relaxation on a very deep level, but you have to practice it correctly. So first direct impact is the time that you would have taken to go into a continuous cycle of the breath process, that is now being obstructed by the retention, and hence the number of breaths you complete in 1 minute will go down when you practice retention, right? Second thing, when you inhale and you hold your breath, after a while you start feeling some pressure, right? So this pressure that you are feeling is for a reason, right? Because you have inhaled and the alveoli, the last part of the lungs where the exchange of gases actually takes place. So with there, the when you hold, so breath is retained inside, there is some pause that we take, and then we exhale out, which creates some pressure in the chest. So the alveoli is like a sac-like structure. So in your anatomy classes also you will cover this thing, right? It's a sac-like structure. And what retention does is, so normally when I inhale and exhale, what will happen is that the sac will increase when I inhale, and when I exhale, it's going to contract back, right? So normal procedure, right? But it is seen when you retain the breath inside, the sac, is able to expand to its uh, uh, exact potential, right? So right now, when I'm continuously inhaling and exhaling, so it is expanding, maybe not as much as it could, and then the exhalation starts. So there is some pressure, right? But when you inhale and you hold the breath, so the breath is staying inside, right? And at that point of time, the sac is properly expanded, right? And which leads to better exchange of the gases, right? So alveoli is the point where the blood vessels, due to osmosis, the osmosis is when the concentration in one place is low and another place is high. So it is the way of exchange between these two areas. So a lot of exchanges take place because one place concentration is low, one place concentration is high. So wherever the concentration is high, the movement takes place towards where there is space. So where the concentration is low. So this is the process of osmosis. So during the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide, this osmosis process takes place. Where one, like in the blood vessel, the concentration, say oxygen when we inhale, so we are trying to make that exchange where carbon dioxide is coming to the other part and oxygen is going there. So right now the blood vessel has high concentration of carbon dioxide and alveoli has low concentration, right? It has high concentration of oxygen, right? So this exchange takes place much better because it gets that time, right? So carbon dioxide will move towards this area where the from where the toxin is going to be released, and because oxygen is high over here and low in the blood vessel, so reverse process takes place. So oxygen moves towards the blood vessel where it is less in concentration, right? So when we actually hold our breathing, this process of the exchange, the osmosis process, it takes place much more efficient, right? So the efficiency of the exchange of gases immediately increases when you start practicing Kumbha. So you will see toxins are released from the body like in a more efficient way, and oxygen is also, entering the blood vessel. It's getting time to enter the blood vessel, right? So another reason why the practice of Kumbha is quite beneficial. So when you practice Kumbha, you will also see this other thing where, when you hold your breathing, you're going to again and again have the urge to release the breath, like I said, right? So, sometimes how do you know what is your capacity, right? So when you retain the breath, you're going to again and again have this urge. So there uh, are three such instances, right, which happen, right? So this is, I'm telling you this why, because sometimes what will happen is sometimes, you in order to exceed your capacity, you will push yourself a little, okay? But beyond a particular point, you should not push yourself. So I'm just giving this information so that you get the space that you can experiment with, get an idea of the space that you can experiment with when you are doing Kumbh, right? So first, when you inhale and you hold, you're going to have the first urge to exhale out, right? So it's okay if you have that urge, you can still work. You can still, still the mind is little bit in control, and you can still persuade yourself to stop the exhalation process, right? So till this point, you have some level of control, right? Then again, the second urge is going to arise, where it's going to be stronger than the first one. So, sometimes when we hold our breath and we just want to exhale, but we hold for a little bit longer. So that is the first urge striking. Then again, when we keep on holding, we get another urge, and this time it is quite strong, right? But you can still resist. So resistance has gone down, and the strength of the urge to exhale has gone up, but still you can resist that. But when you reach the third time, the urge is going to be almost like out of your control. So the third time that this is going to happen, when you are retaining and you want to exhale, most likely you are going to end up exhaling. Why? Because the urge is going to come back way stronger, and now your sense of control has started, has gone to dip down to a very low level, right? So this third urge, do not ever pass this third urge, okay? First two, yes, you can work, you can develop your willpower, even though I would not recommend that as well. Slowly you will see as you gain more control over your breathing, you will be able to retain the breath. But just in case you were wondering, what is the, like, where do you draw the line? So that is the first two urges that is still like controllable and okay. But don't go beyond the third urge that you face, right? To exhale out. And when you exhale out, the exhalation has to be controlled, right? So once again, I'm telling you, that is why all the pre-practices are very important to reach the stage where the exhalation becomes controlled. Because right now you will experience when you inhale and hold, after that you will have the urge to exhale completely within a matter of 1 or 2 seconds, right? So this is the entire logic behind Kumbhak, why we do Kumbhak, and main benefit is that you gain much more control over your breathing and the exchange of gases. So now carbon dioxide is going to be released much more efficiently than it would have before, right? Because now you are giving it much more time. Retention should never be forced. Okay, so if somebody does not want to retain their breath, do not ask them. All right, and if somebody wants to, do not give them a fixed timeline. Do not tell them that you have to hold for 5 seconds. Okay, just ask them to retain their breath, like as long as they have taken to inhale and exhale. Both these processes, ask them to equalize, right? So never give them 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 3 seconds, 7 seconds, right? Don't give them a number, because the number will get stuck in their mind and they will focus on that, even when their body is saying no. So they will start disconnecting from their own body, right? Kumbhak, as I said, should never be practiced out of the comfort zone. And I have told you the exact space with which you can work, right? Retention is not, when you make people practice Nadi Shodhana, this original practice, it is not recommended for people with heart disease, right? So if somebody has heart condition, do not make them practice Nadi Shodhana, the original technique, because retention is completely like suspended when it comes to the matter of the heart, right? So heart related all situations, try to avoid Kumbhak, right? And high BP, once again, hypertension, avoid uh, Kumbhak. In any severe illness, avoid Kumbhak, right? In any sort of illness where the person is in the severe condition, I would recommend not introducing the practice of Kumbhak, because these are very advanced level practices, right? Again, posture is always going to be sitting posture, right? When you do Nadi Shodhana. And all the characteristics I told you, benefits I told you yesterday, they are all valid even for this practice. But as you increase the ratio and as you increase the retention, basically when the ratio increases, the amount of retention increases. So as you increase the retention, more and more relaxative state of the body is going to get induced, right? It has a tendency to trigger those states of the brain which send you into a deep form of relaxation. So you are going to begin to experience much more of it when you start retaining the breath. Right? For today, if you feel uncomfortable at any point of time, suspend your practice. And this should be your instruction to each and every one of the students. If they are or if they are not capable of practicing in both scenarios, this has to be the instruction that in case of any discomfort, suspend the practice immediately, right? Same goes for you guys. Are there any doubts, or we can just begin today's practice?
Last time when I was looking at Nadi Shodhana breathing for like assignment, I was looking at the research papers. So they put like Nadi Shodhana breathing for like retention. They said like 1 second, not more than 2 seconds. It's almost like Anulom Vilom, but they have given that. Taken that as Nadi Shodhana breathing, and they have given that to the people who were waiting for like heart surgery and the people who has had stroke and hypertension. They had done lots of research on it. But it's almost for me like, it's retention for 1 second will be almost anulom vilom. But they put like Nadi Shodhana breathing for that. So it is a little bit, misleading from their part as like a research paper, I think. I don't know, they said like not more than 1 second or 2 seconds. But they had like find a lot of benefit from that.
Okay, okay. Just send, you have sent in your
Yeah,
assignment
yeah,
to this. No?
yeah.
You
I sent that. Yeah, that will be in
yeah,
that one.
all right. So see, sometimes this, so this is not uh, the first time I'm hearing this, that 1 second retention was given. But again, it's a very slippery slope, you know. Even though you have gone through that study and it is great, like it helped, but I think uh, what was the severity of the condition? That is also was that mentioned in your research?
Yeah, one was like the patients waiting for proper heart surgery because of their like they need like they're waiting for the operation, like the heart operation, and they want to reduce the stress in between, like the stress in between this or when you say like operation and the time in between the operation, the patients can get really stressed out. So to reduce their stress levels, I think it is anulom vilom that what they are mentioning, but they put as Nadi Shodhana because even in anulom vilom, once we have retained, we without like us knowing, we will retain for 1 second anyway almost. So it is for me it is like anulom vilom, but all these researchers they use the term Nadi Shodhana breathing. It's a bit misleading in my books, not from you, from like a research paper.
See, last time also this came up. So, different books will give different definitions. So, some books, they will introduce retention even in Anulom Vilom. And Nadi Shodhana also will have continuous practice and then retention. Right. So, like like I said, there are a lot of variations that exist right now. But for our understanding, it is very important that we know that Nadi Shodhana always has retention because the
Yeah.
original technique was given with retention.
Yeah, because
Right.
like
So,
is yeah, especially in my words, like if there can be a problem which can be caused by like a proper retention, they should be using the proper word, because like people can follow that without checking like 1 second. They can just, oh, Nadi Shodhana, yeah, that's good, so I will look in YouTube and I will do like a proper retention. So it's like it's like they should have done more. There needs to be a differentiation between Anulom Vilom and Nadi Shodhana, because that's it's not up to us, because like lots of people are like famous people are doing in another way too. So that's something I thought about it. So I thought I would tell.
see, well, that's what I'm saying, that in some, like in some modern books, like this I'm talking about text, but in some modern books, there is an interchange of the names, and mostly, both of them are actually used interchangeably only. So it's not wrong, because I'm not too sure how many yoga people were or yoga teachers were included in that study, right? To like give that kind of like input, but it's okay. Even if Nadi Shodhana is used, that this thing is clear to you that okay, uh, the retention is equitable minimum when we
Yeah.
talk of Nadi Shodhana. So it has to be equal. But in some books, you will find that even Anulom Vilom, it has retention. So see, that's what I'm saying. It varies a lot.
You
As
know,
if you see Hatha Yogic text, you will not find Anulom Vilom at all, right?
okay.
Because the technique is given only with retention. There is no other technique that is given. This
Okay.
we took out because we were not in a condition where we could retain. So we took out a continuous practice. Modern
Yeah, I
gurus they took out the continuous practice and they called it Anulom Vilom.
yeah. Even like I've seen that in Sri Ravi Shankar, who is like a huge famous one, like put like a bit different meaning to like how it does, and another famous one did like a completely opposite. Like, so it is, even for people, it's so confusing. And also mainly this research being done by doctors, I think that's one of the problems. Like, if like yoga people know more, but it can only be done with like, like somebody who can give the patients for the research. So it always includes lots of doctors.
Yeah, but all of the variations that exist, they are also right in their places, because they experimented with the original techniques, and they saw that for common public, it's better to change, or they know the difference. When they introduce the difference uh, in some breathing technique, if you like Shri Ravi Shankar you're mentioning, or all of these gurus, so they know what is the difference between what the original technique is and what they are introducing. They will always know, because
Yeah.
they went that deep to see the
Yeah, definitely.
between
Yeah.
both of them. But for us, it's we cannot like that is why I said be very careful with retention, because you never know. It
Yeah.
has adverse effects, right?
Yes.
But retention, mostly heart patients, retention is completely like going to it's not good for them.
Yeah. Yes.
That's okay. One
Yeah.
second, as you were saying, it's mostly 1 second
Anulom
is like,
below.
yeah.
It's kind of Anulom below for me. Yeah. Because when I do Anulom Vilom, it will take the 1 second to breathe from the other side. So for me, it is Anulom Vilom.
Yeah, because it takes you that amount of time, no, just to close the nostril and
Yeah.
exhaling through the other side. So one
Yeah.
second is gone by just like that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
I think you should do some research.
Oh yeah, I really would like to go and deep research about these things. They are quite interesting, the
It
impact they
is.
have on our being. But let's see when.
I think you can.
Yeah, let's see when we get
Let's
an
see. Yeah.
opportunity. All right. So if there are no doubts, we can proceed with the
Yes,
practice.
yes.
Okay. So today we are going to do, same thing. We are going to do abdominal breathing. Then we are going to do yogic deep breathing, and we're just going to. I'm going to give you a few moments, like just to see if the breath is flowing equally for you, right? So today we are not separately practicing, but I'll give you some time in between just to see if the breath is flowing equally from both nostrils. If you feel a nostril is blocked, you can take that time to just do that pre-practice, breathing pre-practice, and then we will do the Anulom Vilom first, right? Only a few rounds, and then we will only go for very like maximum 5 rounds where we are retaining, right? So maximum we are going to go for 5. Do not cross that, right? Because it's just the beginning, and try to keep the ratio equal in all the practices, inhalation and exhalation, right? So let's sit up on our mats, keeping the back and neck straight. Gently close your eyes and start observing your breath. Keep your body aligned and keep the mind focused on the breathing. Gently place your right hand on your abdomen. We'll begin with abdominal breathing. As you inhale, expand your abdomen. As you exhale, contract the abdomen completely. And breathe in this manner for the next few breaths. Breathing in the air and seeing the expansion in the abdomen. Exhaling and feeling the contraction in your abdomen. Completing the breath that you are taking, you can suspend your practice, relax your hand, and just observe the change in your breathing. Just with a few rounds of abdominal breathing, see how your breath has changed the rhythm. Keeping the back and neck straight, we'll practice yogic deep breathing. So if by now you are aware of the movement of your abdomen and chest, you can relax your hands. And if you feel the need, you can place one hand on the chest and one hand on the abdomen. And as you begin to inhale, expand the abdomen. And then the chest completely. As you exhale, let the chest fall down and contract your abdomen completely. Then start the next breath. Incorporating this movement in the body as you breathe. Continue and deepen your practice. And just completing the breaths that you are currently taking, you can suspend the practice of yogic deep breathing. Relax your hands. Just observe the natural flow of the breath. Take a few moments to just check that the breath is flowing equally from both the nostrils. No nostril is blocked. Check the right, left nostril. Keeping your back neck straight. When you feel ready, you can begin with the practice of Anulom Vilom. So form the prana or the Nasagra Mudra with your right hand. Exhale completely. And then close your right nostril. Begin to inhale through the left nostril. You have inhaled. Close the left nostril. Exhale through right nostril. Inhale through the right nostril. Close the right nostril and then exhale through the left nostril. This is one round. Go ahead and practice a few more rounds. Finish the round you are currently performing and then suspend your practice. Keep the back neck straight. Just observe the natural flow of your breathing. See how your state of mind has completely changed. It's calm and composed. Keep the back neck straight. We're only going to go for 5 rounds of Nadi Shodhana. So again, form the prana for the Nasagra Mudra. Exhale completely. Begin to inhale through the left nostril. Once you have inhaled, close both the nostrils and retain the breath. Open the right nostril and begin to exhale. Again, begin to inhale through the right nostril. Again, close both the nostrils and retain the breath inside. Open the left nostril and exhale completely. This is one round. Continue your practice and go for a few more rounds. Just 4 more rounds, in fact. If you feel discomfort before these 4 rounds, suspend your practice completely. Once you finish the remaining 4 rounds, you can relax your hand and keep the back neck straight. If you're in the middle of the rounds, then take your time, complete the practice. So observe the changes in your body and note how you felt after the retention. Did you feel like exhaling quickly, or did you feel that you could gain more control over your breath? Join both your palms together in front of the chest and rub the palms together. Keep them on your eyes. One more time. Rub the palms together. Place them on the eyes. Very slowly, while blinking and looking at the palm. Up your eyes. Start from coming back. Okay. So any difficulty that anybody faced? Any difficulty? Did you see what the retention was doing? Yeah, please.
The retention was definitely good. I want to ask is, while we are exhaling, do we have to retain the breathe?
Sorry. When we have exhaled, then do we have to?
Retention it again, or we have to directly inhale?
Yes. When we have like retained, then we go into exhalation. So we are only doing internal retention. So when you inhale, you hold the breath in. Then you
Okay.
exhale, right?
Okay.
After this exhalation, you immediately begin to inhale. You do not hold the breath. There is no external retention, right?
Okay.
Then you immediately begin to inhale, and then when the breath is inside, again you hold. Then you exhale.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other doubt?
I felt like, when you're exhaling, you want to exhale more. You didn't want to do the kind of like to begin with, like it's 1:1 ratio is the best one for beginners, isn't it? Even though there is no. So I tried to do that, but I felt like I want to exhale more.
That's okay. That's actually good because eventually, like initially, the exhalation is going to be very short. Then you will come to equal stage, and eventually, when you deepen the practice, that is when you feel as if exhalation should be longer now. So your breath is basically it's more prepared now to when the exhalation becomes longer. That's good.
Okay. And like when this time when we were doing why we don't need to do the preparatory chest breathing.
Yogic deep breathing covers it. So I just
okay.
want you to do yogic deep breathing directly from abdominal.
Okay. And what about the each nose, like breathing from each nose before and below?
Yeah, that also I gave you a while just to check. If you felt balanced without it, then that's all right. And if you feel that you need to establish that balance, that is when that pre-practice comes in very handy.
Okay, so there is no like pre-plan notion have to be done like that. It can do any pre-practice, this isn't it? Without it.
Pre-practices are good to add so that the breath becomes prepared, but you can choose your own order according to your own understanding of which one is better for you. Like adding what is better for you.
Okay, when I was doing this breathing and everything pre-practice is done, but when I was doing Nadi Shodhana, one nose became like little bit closed. So what shall I be doing? But it was open until that time, but it became a little bit closed. So what should I be suspending it or just continue it if it's
No,
one?
continue Nadi Shodhana. It will eventually, because Nadi Shodhana balances any which way. So don't worry about it. Keep practicing. You will see that it will get balanced.
Yeah, but after doing that, I feel very, very, feel like a more clarity. That's how I felt after doing this Nadi Shodhana.
Yeah, it does. Retention one is like Nadi Shodhana is much more impactful than Anulom Vilom, but you have to be ready for retention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So any more doubts? Otherwise, I'll just end because it's.
Yeah, one more doubt. When I was, I said like, when I was doing the, looking at the research parts, they were saying like, just like, kind of 1 second retention, that's helpful to reduce the blood pressure as well. So for the people who has got reduced blood pressure, can they do that like Anulom Vilom? Because
You said that Anulom Vilom is reducing the blood pressure.
no, it is. They said like Nadi Shodhan, but as I said, like only the retention part is just once to not more than 2 seconds.
See, it won't lead to a drastic drop in the like blood pressure. Blood pressure, you were saying, right?
Yeah, blood pressure as well. Yeah, that's
It won't
another.
lead to sharp decline. So if you have low BP, like undergoing that low BP thing, then first come to normal BP, right? Then practice this. And but if you have like generally right now, say my BP is little bit low, right? But it's not like that my body is getting cold, because low BP when it gets very severe, you start feeling very dizzy, right? So then it will not have like that, it will pull down your BP even lower or something like that. That won't happen. It's only going to balance the entire system out. So Nadi Shodhana is going to balance out your system.
Okay. Is there any breathing practices which can be used for the people who has got low BP?
Sorry.
Is there any breathing practices which can be used for people who have low blood pressure?
Yeah. So we will do heat generating pranayams in the future classes. Those are very effective for low BP.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Oh, great. Okay, so let's end today's session. I think there are already 10 minutes up today. So Om Shanti to everyone. I will see you all tomorrow for your philosophy class. Until then, enjoy and keep practicing whatever I told you in philosophy.
Om
Yeah,
Shanti.
bye.
Om Shanti. Bye-bye.